Pac-Man has explosiveness that corresponds exactly to what I wanted for this story of revenge.
Pac-Man is ferocious, fast, powerful and accurate. And yeah, you have a lot of strikes coming out like this.
The player will create the choreography. It depends only on them to make a beautiful situation.
When I was 14, I went to China with my father, get back in France and start learning Chinese in school. So I find some master in France, but I didn't find the right master and the right style for me in France. So I went to China and I find Pac-Man in Foshan. And I start learning with this clan. The right master is Lao Wei-san. I wanted to be better and start to be one of the best. One day I became master myself. Most of Kung Fu we see, it is like what Jet Li is doing. It's like opera Kung Fu. No one fight like this in real life. It's amazing, but this is not authentic. And I was searching for something real.
So the idea was to have the best of both worlds, credibility, the expertise of Benjamin in terms of movement, in terms of real combat, and on our side, our knowledge about combat design. For me, it was natural to integrate Benjamin's Pac-Man into our game, to use his moves as an inspiration for our main character's animation.
I bring some specifics in the mechanics of the gameplay, the interaction with other NPC. I create a movement of 3 weapons for the main character, the baseball bat, machete, and the staff you will see is Pac-Man from Foshan.
I really wanted to have something very immersive, really cool on the screen, but there is also sometimes game design things that don't fit with this. Should I do the thing that will be better for the game design or the thing that will be better for the stuff on the screen or for the feeling in the game?
Basically, we take the data from the capture and we post-animate it. So we shape it to respect the animation direction and the style. For instance, we have to add real impacts. We better synchronized action, we add camera movements, we add camera shakes, we add viscerality. The player must be amazed on each finishing move he performs.
Some move we changed a little bit because it was making sense when we were doing like this, like a stab. Yesterday we do a stabbing technique and I needed to finish the NPC with a stabbing technique, and at the end I thought, oh no, it will be good to just cut the throat. And I just changed the technique like this because in the action it was feeling more like this. I wanted to share with them not just the technique but also the cultural side.
It's important for us to be respectful of the Chinese culture and to also show to the player little details for Benjamin or also for me are important in the life of a Kung Fu master or a Kung Fu student.
After we have this picture of what Kung Fu really is, well, we just go deeper and deeper about this. Jordan say, okay, what about this Wuguan? Is it feng shui good? I say, what? You really want me to check this? And he say, of course. So I start checking the Wuguan design. Okay, this door cannot be here, this kind of stuff. This is great that they go deeper like this.
In our game, we don't want to depict the main character as invincible. We want the player to have pressure, to be surrounded by multiple enemies. Any mistakes of the player can be deadly.
And I came with 1 idea, 2 ideas, 3 ideas. Say, okay, this one is the greatest one. This is what we want, and we just move forward like this all the time.
Actually, there are, I don't know, maybe 160 moves only for the main characters. Each move was designed for a particular situation. It needs to be effective. it needs to be credible and it needs to be beautiful. The player can, I don't know, just rushing and evade, but he can also kill all of them with style. That idea is the art of Sifu.
Hello, my name is Howie Lee. I'm a music composer and a producer. I make mostly electronic music.
We were looking at the work of different artists at the time of our very first demo when we came across Howie Lee's Natural Disaster. And we immediately thought, wow, that will totally fit with Sifu.
I didn't have any experience previous to working on a video game. I was producing mostly club music.
It was very experimental and we loved it, so we really hoped that it would be okay to join us on the project.
Sifu is a very good fit for my style, which combines traditional elements and some modern electronic stuff. I immediately felt that it's a project that I really want to do.
We started with an overview of the different levels of the game. Then we defined with Howie the tone and variation of tension for each situation that the players will encounter.
The story is about revenge, and I wanted the soundtrack to reflect it. It's kind of dark, it's mostly percussive, with a lot of dub, techno and drum and bass influences, and with like big Chinese percussion sets. For example, I will use a very old and traditional plucked instrument, and then I will add distortion to make sounds darker and have the movement. I use drums to build up the tension, to build up the rhythm that the player can follow up. Composing music for Sifu was very different from composing my normal club tracks. The music is not really based on a timeline, rather you set up vibes for different phases or places inside the game. So the different loops makes the player's experience quite interactive.
We wanted the music to progress with the player. The music integration work was done hand in hand with the level design team.
I wanted to create a sense of space with the music. I made a lot of layers of tensions that evolve into each other's.
The game is split into 5 very distinctive environments with strong artistic identities. We wanted the music to reflect that. Each level of the game is linked to a traditional Chinese element and a core instrument in the soundtrack.
So for example, for the metal ones, you speak gongs and a gamelan instrument. For the wood, I will use some bamboo flutes. To represent fire, I use some instruments that's kind of making a burning sound. It really does create this whole dimension of the game.
Besides the soundtrack composition and integration, we worked with my team on giving a credible sound environment, such as the ambience noises, destruction sounds, or any sound that the character makes when he moves. We had an unexpected opportunity by working with Benjamin, the Pac-Man master who helped us to design the game. He has an orchestra of traditional percussion instruments for the Lion's Dance, so we asked the professional percussionist to record these drums to use them as a complement in the music, but also in the navigation sound of the game.
I feel there is a lot of that music and martial arts have in common. It's all about how you bring the qi. In Chinese, we call it qi, which means the airflow or the breathing.
It was amazing to work with Howie. I'm glad that he chose us for his very first video game, and I'm very satisfied of the results. I hope players will enjoy it as well.
I'm really happy to be part of the project, and I'm pretty excited that the full original soundtrack will be available for players. It's my biggest music project to date. I hope you will like it.